We are live. So now if y'all could go and share it. And then also, Miss Nikki, there will be comments on the side. You know what I'm
Like,
saying? I
why
don't
am
know
I
if you'll be
just
able to
getting
see.
all these doggone reels? I don't want reels now. See, I got my YouTube. There's my
Did it just
YouTube.
pop? Did it pop up on y'all end? On y'all's
The
end?
YouTube.
Well, you can share that. It should be on the page too. Like if you go to the Hood Talk page or if you go to my regular page, it'll be on there.
Okay, wait a minute.
And let me get my questions together for you.
Have you already pushed the live button?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I said that 45 minutes ago.
Right, I have to mute myself.
Now I'm gone.
How you feeling, Nikki? You
Okay,
ready
I
for
see you.
this?
I see that we live now.
Yeah, we live.
Okay, and I'm gonna put share.
Just like
Well,
we
I got to.
promised.
You know what? I need to come in as Valeria.
We live today. And we got a bomb interview because you are great.
Thank you,
I
thank
like
you,
I,
thank
I like the way you talk. I like the way you think, you know?
you.
That's super dope.
Thank you, thank you.
So you didn't share it, Evelyn?
Belen, yeah.
Jesus. All right, thank you. So we are live. It's Hood Talk Podcast, baby. And we are here with a special guest today. We are going to learn about this young lady, Nikki Williams. She is the author of Perspective Will Change Your Reality. And this is so dope.
Welcome to the squad.
Yeah, so we're going to get this thing jumping. And so for those who may not know you, Miss Nikki, could you tell us about where you're from and some of your upbringing?
All right, hello, my love. So I am Nikki Williams. I go by simply Nikki for those of you who follow me on any platform. I'm simply Nikki because I feel like most of my life I was running in other people's footsteps. I was being someone else but myself. But when I was able to be simply myself, I was able to tap into me authentically. I am a licensed hairstylist. I do life coaching mainly for young adult girls. And I just published my recent book called Perspective Can Change Your Reality.
Yes. So what
That's
side of Dayton?
dope.
Where you grow up at in Dayton?
Oh, so I grew up in Trotwood. I did grow up in Trotwood most of my life. If anybody know about Townview, I grew up in Townview as well. And then I was in Trotwood. I went to Trotwood, graduated from Trotwood High School and Miami Valley CTC for cosmetology.
Now, them,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and them are two totally different areas. So life
Yeah.
itself, how was it growing up in those different areas, going from Townview to Trotwood?
Well, see, Townview then wasn't Townview now. So
Okay.
yeah, Townview back then was so different, but my grandma was old school. She was strict. So it was a lot of stuff I wasn't exposed to or wasn't able to do anyway when I lived with my grandmother. So I was mainly in the backyard when we could be out, and I wasn't going past that front porch. So it wasn't too much. But even in Charlotte, with my aunt, little suburb is in a small neighborhood, laid back. You know, everybody kind of know everybody in the neighborhood, and it was pretty chill. It
Mhm.
was different, but
How
it
you
didn't
feel
come.
about?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
go ahead, go ahead.
How you feel about Trotwood now? Because it's such like nothing. It's nothing here now. Like it's
I know,
crazy.
right? And it's crazy, but I see that they're trying. I see they're trying, and it's trying to come back up because it is weird to see how it's like a deserted, like not too much. And it's crazy to feel like that because I was living in Charlotte like some years back. Then I moved to Charlotte and then came back home. And then I'm like, I don't want to move to Charlotte. Like if I, when you get exposed to a little bit, like access to a little bit more, you kind of want something different. Not that I'm in the best area now, but it still just offers a little bit more. But I see Trotwood trying to come back up, which is good to see.
Yeah, that
I
used to be the
really
place
hope
to
they
go.
do.
I
I
think they're
really hope they
trying.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trotwood was like the Miamisburg back in
Yeah.
the day, like
Oh, it's on the
The
come up.
Salem Mall and and all that. And
good
yeah,
food.
we had yeah. Toys
My
R
kids come
Us.
together. And then plus my brother, shout out to my big brother, cousin, at Flight World. Don't get me if I'm messing this up. Like that'll be up soon. You know, I'm sure if y'all drive through the area, y'all see the dome coming up. So that'll be something great that's coming to the Trotwood area, especially for the kids in the community. So that's one dope thing that I can say is coming.
That's good.
Yeah, I can't wait. And you talking about what they building over there at the GFS?
No, not GFS. If you go past there, is what where the old theological seminary, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking
You
about.
can see if you look over. There's a big white dome that's up. That say, I believe it says Flight Academy, Flight World. Chris Wright is getting that together, and it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope.
Oh yeah, that sounds dope because the kids definitely need something.
Oh yeah, talk about community and bringing people back together and having kids having access to a lot more, creating that village again. That's what's gonna happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Huh. You know what? Now, you mentioned a lot of things that you said that you do when you were introducing yourself. Okay, so now how do you find time to juggle all those hats and still be a mom? Because a mom is a full-time job in itself.
Listen, so I'm gonna say the story is not perfect. Nothing about the process is perfect. And I talk about this in my book as well. Like my goal is not to be perfect. My goal is to be better than I was yesterday. And so when I keep that in mind, it helped me be able to balance it all. I remember having a life coach, and I was my youngest daughter. She was still a baby, and this is around COVID time. So I'm trying to do hair from home because I had an extra area because they shut down the salons, and then they were doing the homeschooling thing and all that. And I was talking to her about balance and stuff like that. But the great thing that she told me is about harmony. Because sometimes we want everything to be here, and sometimes it's just finding that harmony where sometimes this may be here, this may be here, but it still works together. And so that's what I do for me. Like I create a schedule for what it is that I want to do, and I stick to it. Like if I don't want to do hair a certain amount of days a week, I'm not going to do it. I don't care if I'm not a millionaire yet or whatever. My priority is to pour into my kids and my family. And then also, I'm big about my goals and gifts. Just like Erykah Badu said, I'm sensitive about my stuff. Like, I'm serious about my craft and what it is that I want. So when it comes to that, I just pick the balance of what I want the priority to be in my life. And I don't let anything water it down or anything like that. But number one, being a mom, I just balance it. I create a schedule. Like this, my first week, I finally created a schedule that we can go by to get more organized. And it's been working this week. It's literally been working. And I've been loving it. Like the kids, they've been on it. They first week are actually doing chores. My oldest is 10 years old and my youngest, she's 4. So it's a difference.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a big difference.
Yeah, it's the difference, but we working out, just figuring out ways to make it work day by day. Just,
So out of all your titles that you have, which one do you dedicate most of your time to besides being a mom?
Pouring into my craft. So for years, I've been doing hair since high school. Well, it's in my blood to do hair, number one. So I've been doing it as a kid. My grandmother was a hairstylist. I have 3 cousins that are licensed hairstylists. So it's just in my blood naturally. But I always felt years ago that my calling was bigger than just being a hairstylist. And not to say that being a hairstylist is something small, because I believe, hairstylists, we pull confidence out of people and stuff like that. But I knew there was more that I can offer people. And so that has been something that I strive to do on a daily basis. And so I'm always making using time and opportunity to pour into that, where I'm creating videos. Even when I'm with my kids, if we're out at the park, I use that opportunity. They go do them, and I use that time to create content and create videos. So I just find a way to make it work in the midst of all that.
See, I know too, because I'm a licensed hairstylist too, since 2010 actually. So I actually know what you're talking about, girl.
Yeah, it's a struggle, and I love the business. I mean, I love it. It's just awesome. Like when I'm in there doing it, I love being in my zone and being able to naturally do things. But it's just like when like it's something else that I want to offer people. Like I can do hair for free for those who need it and that want it. But God has gave me the gifts as well, where I can make an income off of it as well.
You see this rough patch up here.
When I take these braids out, when I take these braids out, I can get one of y'all to rebraid my hair then, right?
Right. I love doing hair.
Everybody
Right.
loving doing hair.
Let me go ahead and slide in that chair.
Right,
I love free. People just all she heard was free and started taking braids down.
Listen,
Let a woman
if
a
I can
chance.
help, mainly I do it free for those that I can help. You know, like if you don't have access to it or can't, I'm there.
If you ain't got no hands, she'll do your hair. And at this point, Malia, you got hands. You can go home and brush that hair out. But I want to piggyback off what you were talking about at the beginning because we really didn't get into that. So, what was your perspective on life before you changed it? I know you said you used to give. So, how did you change that?
So mainly my perspective, this going down from as a child to now, my perspective on life was different because I wasn't raised by my parents. And I talk about this in my book. I wasn't raised by my biological parents, but I did get the opportunity to still be raised by a family. But back then I didn't see that as a win at one point. I always looked at it as, I don't fit in, I don't belong here. They don't understand me. They don't hear me. And I just played a lot of stories in my head. And because of those stories that I played in my head, whether it was true or false, whether some of the things were valid, I allowed those things to take away from the positivity in my life and the good of what was going on, to the point where I lost myself in that story. I feel like I had to keep telling this story in order for me to be seen. And I was beginning to tell it from a place of hurt. I was using it as a way to bring other people down, say they doing this. You don't point the finger. So the change in the perspective was realizing that how long am I going to blame everybody else for not being what I thought was the way to be? How long am I going to continue to blame them for how my life is? And I'm an adult now. And so it really came to a point, it was like, am I going to forgive and move on? Am I going to accept them for who they are and realize that I don't have control of them, but I have control of me? And then that was the shift in perspective. I was able to see, when I changed my perspective, I was able to build better relationships with my mom, with my aunt, with so many people in my family, because I was able to see the love still. Because I was loving me first, I was realizing it was just a lot that went into it. But again, it took years and situation by situation by situation in order for me to fully come to a place of healing. But it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, I was gonna say now, do you consider that like childhood trauma? Like,
Yeah, a lot of people say that, and I try not to, like I said before, I try not to label things too much because sometimes we put a label on stuff and we act like the label can't change, like something can't change. And so I don't want to give what I went through as the focal point. The focal point is the shift, the light that came from it.
Yeah.
So now I'm able to tell a story I'm not telling you the story for you to be sad. I'm not telling you the story for you to be mad at anybody else. I'm telling you the story to tell you that this is what can come from it.
I like that. I love that.
Yeah.
Changing the perspective. Now
Yes.
you have a book out with that title, right? What's the title of your book?
The title of the book is Perspective Can Change Your Reality. And let me call it the bottom. It says, allowing your story to save you by finding the light. And that's all it is about. If you can find the positivity and a light in your story, you open up so many doors for change for yourself. And for me, learning who I was in the process, because a lot of times we hold on to those stories and that pain of what happened or the frustration of feeling certain things that we don't know who we are outside of that. So when you learn who you are outside of that, that create a better relationship with you and God. So for me, that's where the light comes in. And that's when you're able to really walk in who you are and simply being yourself.
So I got a question.
Now,
Like,
go ahead.
My bad. What you was about to say, Nicole?
No, I was about to answer since we was on her book situation. Can we get that? Is it audio? Like, do you have an Audible one, or I know you said Amazon on the radio.
So
but do
it's
you have
not
the Audible? Okay.
It's not Audible yet, but I'm gonna work on those different avenues. Because again, this journey was new for me, and I don't think I ever really thought like I would be an actual author. Like the goal was not to be an author. The goal was just to be the messenger and to help other people. And at first, I didn't look at it like it was gonna be in a book. I thought I'm gonna record these videos. I'm gonna make Facebook statuses, and somebody's gonna catch on. They're gonna get it. But it just came to a point. It's like, why don't I put this on paper? Let it reach somebody else. And so ultimately, it's just something I kind of fell into, people pour seeds into me and said, this is something that you should do. And I just put it on paper and it's just out there. So I do hope to be able to have it where it's more accessible to people, whether it be on Audible or if it's ebook style. But right now it's just the paperback on Amazon.
Paperback. Okay. And do you have
I'm always interested how people, when people say they've written a book, because I think I have had a very exciting and colorful life.
Mm-hmm.
And but I wouldn't know where to start. Which, do I start when I was a baby? Do I start from my first trauma? Do I start now and go back? I just
see, with me, I say start where you feel, because like if you read in the book, like it will seem like I'm all over the place, because I share things from younger, but then I share of how in my 20s I was still that 12, 13-year-old in my 20s, because the way I was thinking, the way I was feeling. So I did learn in the process of writing that, I do everything fast, and I'm so excited about certain things I do. Sometimes I just jump in and do it. Like when God gave me a vision, I just jump in and do it. And sometimes it may not be right then and there that I'm supposed to do it, but I'm all in on obedience. And so I had to go back and write a blueprint. Like, you know what? This is what I want you to get from this. That's the focus. Let me focus on what I want you to get from this and break it down from there, and then share stuff from there. So when I shared stories, it was certain stories to identify certain points. Because I can tell stories for days, in so many levels. I can have conversation for days, but I wanted to make a point to focus on certain things. I didn't want to lose people, but I want you to be able to receive what I'm trying to give you. So just do it. I tell people to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like people, like as far as like changing their perspective or getting to learn themselves. Do you have like any ways a person could start? Should they start with journaling? Should they start with meditation? How would somebody start like learning their true self?
Okay, I'm glad you said the journey part. So some years back, before I published this book, I have published self-guided journals, where I started off with teens, and I had two different ones. One was for confidence, and the other one was Push Queen Push. And it was about your story. It's about writing it all out and processing. So journaling is very important to me, because at one point I had a counselor that used to pull me out of class and talk to me without giving me too much of the book. But she would pull me out of class and talk to me. And she gave me my first journal, right? And so that was the start of me being able to get out what I was feeling on paper. And I think that's very important for people to do, because a lot of times we hold stuff in or we lash out without processing what we're going through. And so if you're able to write it out, recognizing there's something not right with this situation, there's something that I'm feeling that I want to process, let me write it out. Let me talk about it, but then let me do some work. Because a lot of times we feel these things and we feel like we are entitled to act and react a certain way, that we don't do anything to move forward. And so I'm all about, you can talk about it, but how long are we going to keep saying the same story? How long are we going to keep on saying, I'm hurt, I'm frustrated, I'm not happy, I'm this and that, before we do the work? So writing it out is very important to me. Writing it out, talk about it. If you need to talk about 1, 2, 3 times. After that, do something to make a difference. Change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super dope. I be trying to tell people all the time, journaling really helps. Release it. Release it. You got to release it out your subconscious mind. But I want to talk about the titles that you have. Moving Out of Love and Gifts Are Important. Could you elaborate on those two titles? Are you
Yes.
parts of your book?
So number one, the moving out of love. That's very, very, very important. I think that's the best thing I could have did for myself. When you move out of love, it's an act of humility. It's a way where you're not speaking in a way where you're trying to hurt somebody, but you want them to be able to receive what you're giving. And sometimes, because we're not acting out of love, people don't receive what we're trying to give them because of the way we're bringing it to them. I remember working in a hair salon and being an intern. I worked for this lady, Tanya Harris, in Harris House of Style. I worked with her in high school up until being an adult, right? And so even having my first kid or whatever, I was in and out the salon. I had times that I wanted to be consistent. There was other times I was like, oh, I'm not going in. And I remember anytime that she wanted to talk to somebody at the salon, she would say, all right, receive this in love. Because anything that she brings to you, she wants you to receive it. She coming to you because she cares about you, but she wants you to understand that this is a serious situation. I want you to know. And and that's what it's all about. If you're able to to reach people in love, your relationship with people change, your relationship with the world change, and it vibrates off of you. People will see that. Like, I had my uncle the other day tell me, like, you love yourself, don't you? Absolutely. And then I had a pastor before, you love God, don't you? Absolutely. I didn't have to say it. It come, they see it. And
Yeah, they
so
see it.
you have to you have to be that. A lot of people, and even like we talked about titles. Yes, I play all these roles, I do these things, but outside of that, what do people see when they see me outside of that? I want people when they see me, I want them to see love. I want them to see light and creativity, because that's where I was created to be. Before I had these roles. So that's what the acting out of love is about. The other one was the gifts are
It's
important,
important.
right? So I'm big on that, right? So, because my gifts has opened up so many doors for me. And that's from me even being a hairstylist, me being creative and writing. So when I told you I used to write journals, but I used to write poetry as well. And so it went from me just writing these entries, but God gave me the gift of words and being able to translate them words on paper and be able to get through my feelings. And I wrote poems for years. And it really, a lot of times it was during my hurt that I wrote them. But it's interesting to go back and read and be like, wow, that was deep. It's just deep to read back, like, this is what I was feeling. But to able to see it now and say I'm not at that place no more shows that it can work. So like I told some young girls the other day that I was mentoring, is that your gifts open up doors, and it allows you to have income for your family. It allows you to help other people as well. And so even though I'm able to do hair to make money, I'm also able to do hair to save another girl's life, to build her confidence, to make her fall in love with herself again. So there's many avenues that's already equipped in you for a reason, if we tap into it. Because a lot of people, they going to work every day and not use. It's okay to go to work, but when the last time you used one of your gifts? When the last time that you spent time with yourself to figure out what that gift was? And then instead of going to work and like, I'm miserable, I'm this, I'm that, I'm not happy. Because you will continue to be unhappy until you're fulfilling your God-given gifts. And I honestly feel like that. If
See,
you're not willing to practice that,
God,
and you know what? I like
I
my
almost start
gift.
crying because that is so true. That's how I feel. I don't want to work.
God has blessed
Oh my
me with
goodness.
the gift of song.
mm,
So, you know, I'm always doing funerals and things like that. And I'm like, Lord, well, why why you always got me singing for a doggone funeral? But I'm finding that it's comfort to those people. That's God's way of using me to comfort them in the most difficult time of their life. And I'll allow him to pick the song, the words and everything. And at the end of the day, they always come and tell me, you know what, you are anointed. I'm like, okay, that means they saw God.
yes, absolutely.
And yeah,
Absolutely. And that's the goal at the end of the day. You gave me chills saying that, because I love to see people in their element. I don't care what it is. Like, I'm not in a rush to get in your lane. Like, I love that you in the lane that you in, and I can thrive. I can feel the love from, like, I love to see people creative with singing and poetry, whatever it is that you're naturally dope at. Like, I love to see it. And if we can tap into that more, like, I feel like we can change each other's lives.
yeah,
Facts.
So,
yeah.
I love this interview. This is so
I
tight.
know.
You are dope, Miss Nikki.
Yes, you are I'm
Definitely are.
so inspirational and
Yeah. And that's what people need, man. In a world full of
mhm.
drama and anger and just everybody is just so negative.
yeah,
You need this positivity. You need to see the other side. You know what I'm saying? There's
I see
always
the
the other
light
side
of
of
I
things.
see the light of Jesus, honey. I see it.
Yeah, or at least know how to get there. You know what I'm saying? Now, okay,
absolutely.
somebody might take from this. Okay, let me go ahead and go journal. Let me go ahead and sit with myself for a while. Let me go ahead and learn something about
Learn
tap into my
yourself.
gifts. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, somebody pulls that from this interview that we doing tonight.
Yes,
For
for
sure,
sure.
you feel me? Um, but could you explain what it means to be a life coach, and is there age requirements for that?
So for me, being a life coach, I don't feel like there's necessarily an age group, because I work with younger girls, because that's where my heart is. I have always had a heart for helping the child that I was. So I'm big on helping the girls that may have been, in foster care or they dealing with the, group homes, anything like that, because I want them to understand that despite this, even though this is your current situation, you can have more, you can be more, regardless of what you're going through. So I don't feel like that it's a certain age group. I do work with a lot of girls anywhere from 12 to young adult, 20, 25-ish. But I feel like life coaching is necessary for any and everybody in all levels. I know in this generation or over the years, a lot of names get saturated and some people put a bad name on certain titles, life coach or whatever case may be. But ultimately, without comparing it to other things, a life coach is no different than a football, basketball coach. It's somebody that's trying to coach you through life, helping you get to the next level. And they're not going to do the work for you, but they're able to see something that you may not be able to see to create a plan for you to be better. And I talk about that in my book as well. It's about creating a blueprint for your life, because the blueprint for your life may be different from the blueprint for my life. And so it's about sitting down, figuring out what that blueprint is for you to thrive. Because everybody just don't grow the same way. It just don't work like that. But certain things, you got to have certain foundations. Like I talk about changing that perspective for one, is shifting your mindset. You'll get it. If you can start there, you'll get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Change y'all's mindset. Change y'all's perspective for real.
Yeah.
So do you have any self-care habits that you do?
So for me, it's simple. Like I'm not gonna say I get manicures and pedicures and all this good stuff on a regular, but for me, it's the simple things. Like I'm very serious about being outside. Anybody that follow me know me and the kids outside. If it's a nice day outside, we outside. And
That
if I can
vitamin
find
D.
a body of water, I want the body of water. So it's
Mm.
simple as a walk. It's just that calmness. And doing that for me, I was able to see the beauty in life, because I talk about this with my mom all the time, because sometimes she has her own struggles and things that she's trying to break through from her own chapter, not raising her kids, just all kinds of things. So she may not see certain things, and so I let her know that, like, if only you could see the beauty in life, and it's simple as a walk. Like I can walk outside and see a tree, and something about certain trees are just beautiful to me. The tree not doing nothing but being still, but something about that tree is beautiful to me, and just walking. And so for me, my self-care is getting outside. Number one, I
Nature.
love it. I drink me some coffee. I love me some coffee in the morning, but getting outside is number one for me for our self-care, being by myself. And I, even with my husband, my kids, like at the beginning of being a mom and a wife, because everything for me happened fast. Like I got married within maybe, what was a year, maybe a year and a half of us being together. We had kids, 3 kids. And so a lot of stuff, and I was still trying to figure me out, like, what was my role in this life? And so I tell them at the beginning, it was all, I'm going to be a perfect wife. I'm going to be this best mom. And it was all about that. It was all about only that. And so I had to get to the point where I had to tell them, like, look, I need a minute. And being okay with that. Because sometimes the mom's guilt is real. Sometimes you feel guilty for making time for yourself. But now it's like, no, I'm making time for y'all. I promise y'all, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z for y'all. We're gonna have some fun. But mommy needs to do this in this moment. I have to do this. It's for me. And me doing that makes me be able to show up better for them. And my husband, he can see it, like, hold on now, what's different this week? You feeling a little. I put some structure into play and created some certain things and tapping into what I really want to do, and I'm able to show up better for them as well. So just going outside, number one, being outside.
Them kids don't understand that mama time, boy. I tell you.
Look, I gave them a talk the other day because they want to go. Like, it's like,
Right.
okay, look, we done did a slip and slide in the yard. We done went to the park. Like, we done
Right.
had ice
Water
cream. What
park.
we doing?
We done went out
Right.
to eat. We done went to the movie. Now, come on now. Can I go twerking, please?
Honey, I have raised grown adults, and I still feel guilty sometimes when I do things for me. I feel, because like my granddaughter and my great grandbaby stay here, and I just feel like I'm supposed to be available for them. I plan my vacations around, their needs and all that stuff. And I know I really shouldn't do that.
Mother
You
Nature.
sound like
And
my
sometimes I
mother-in-law.
start getting resentful.
Yeah, you sound like my mother-in-law. Like she will do any like she has 4 boys. She will do anything. They grown. She will do anything for them and her and me and the kids. Like she will do anything for them, despite anything that she has going on. She will do that. But I tell her all the time, go do something for you, please. I'm excited for you. Do something. My aunt that raised me same way. She raised all boys outside of me, and they played basketball and football. And she traveled for years and years and running after them. And now she's retired and it's still, let me do something for the grandbabies. No, I'm gonna stay here. If you don't go on that cruise, if you
Right.
don't go spend some time with yourself, you done spent all your years pouring into everybody else, running after everybody else. There's an assignment that God has for you as well. So I encourage you to make a time for you. It's boundaries. You gotta set them boundaries.
Well, going into that, I need to know, do you have words of motivation for someone in life or for someone, just trying to change their perspective?
So this is, if you follow me on anything, this is why I say at every video is your life is your story and it's up to you what you do with it. Take control of it. Overall, out of all the things we just said, people think they don't have control of a lot of things. You have more control over things than you think. And so if you're able to really take control of you and focus on you, you'll realize how some stuff just don't matter. Some stuff is just not necessary. I don't even need this in my space to operate the way I need to operate. And what you come to realize is that I'm more powerful when I tap into me, when I let go of what I don't have control over. And so that's what it's about. Take
Say
control
that.
of your story and remember, like, you have control over it. And that's
That
my
makes
answer.
good sense. And
Yes.
I like when you said that when we let go of things that we don't have control over. But
Yes.
but sometimes the tricky thing is recognizing that I don't have control over
Mhm.
it.
Facts.
Mhm.
That is the tricky
Right.
part because you trying to fix
Mhm.
it. You trying to
Yeah,
Right.
change it. So how do
yeah.
you let it go? How do you know, like, you know what? It's out of my hands.
For me, I had a bad problem with that. Like, cause sometimes we just want to control everything. We feel like, oh, was the problem is right here. I need to figure. Like, no, because I would drive myself crazy. Like, I remember the things that would happen. Soon as something happened with the car, I'm in a tansy. Like, soon as it happened with the kid, I'm freaking out, right? And then it just came to a point. Okay, relax. What are some solutions? So it's about looking at the problem. Is there solutions that I have for the problem? If there is no solutions that I can do in my power, it's out of my power. Let it go. Right. So I remember, this is crazy, but I remember even getting my car repoed, right? Get my car repoed, paid off, no car, no nothing. Didn't drop a tear. Didn't drop a tear. Only because in that moment I realized before, I'm like, what what's next? What can we figure out? Because
Right.
we realized what the mistake was, why it happened, why it happened. We made a decision we shouldn't have made. We didn't handle it well. So what we gonna do moving forward? We make sure we don't do that again. Let's figure out how we're gonna get us another car.
Yeah, and
So
that's all you can do.
it's something simple as that because we let it tear up everything. We let that one problem affect how we show up in another situation and another situation and another situation. But if you realize, okay, I got control of this. This is what I can do in this moment. If there's nothing I can do in this moment, leave it alone. Because what I promise you, nine times out of 10, it's gonna work itself out. I promise you. On all levels. Even when it's like, oh, this is my last $3. This is my last $3. I ain't gonna worry about it. I promise you, God gonna give it back to you. I promise you're gonna be replenished. I promise you're gonna be taken care of. And I can say that with confidence because it happens to me. So let it go if you don't have control of it. It's something that you can fix that's in your power. Do it. But if you don't, let it go. Save yourself the heartache, the stress, the frustration, and move on.
Yes, ma'am. And that's something I always say. You can't worry and have faith. You can't do both of them. It's
At
either
all.
or.
Yeah.
At
You know
all.
what I'm saying? We not supposed to worry. Let things gonna be what they gonna be. You know
At
what I'm
all.
saying?
Right.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I
Participate
need your
both.
book.
Yeah,
I
I
need
was
your
gonna say
book.
we need a book. What's the links? Where can we
The,
find the book?
You
How
can
can we
find it
get
on
the book?
Amazon. If y'all on dating, of course, I do have some on hand because I had a book signing not too long ago, so I do have some on hand that you can get. Hit me up in my inbox, and I'll make sure I get it to you.
Well, we all need one. And shoot me the cash app. Can someone grab mine because I'm not off till late?
Thank you. And so you said people can people follow you on Facebook? You got a
Yes,
YouTube,
please.
anything? And
Yes, you can follow me on Facebook, Nikki Williams. I'm also on TikTok. I do most of my videos on TikTok because I find that sometimes most of my tribe is on TikTok. It's just a little different audience. So I'm simply Nikki on TikTok, Instagram, capturing self. You have control of your story. So that's mainly where I'm at. Not on YouTube or nothing yet, but I'm on my way.
It's coming. Well, make
It's
sure y'all
Yeah.
check her out. Make sure y'all get that book. This is a really, really, really dope woman right here. We
Yes.
appreciate this interview.
Yes.
It's needed. You know, it opens up, enlighten, you know what I'm saying, a lot of us. So I really appreciate you for this, for giving us your time of day. And I wish you nothing but greatness on all your endeavors.
Yes.
Thank y'all for
Yes.
having me on. I love it. I love it. I really appreciate this opportunity.
No problem. We appreciate you. And we ain't gonna take up no more of your day. We gonna be out. This is Hood Talk Podcast, baby.
Peace.